partially Christian home. My dad always came, and my mom always came with my dad, and then my parents got divorced when I was 4, and we moved in with my grandma, and I didn't really see my dad as much as the court ordered us to, and so I only went to church with my dad, and so I didn't go to church as much as I should, and he went here, so I've been going here since I was about 2, and so my dad didn't really call me as much as he was supposed to, and I didn't really go see him as much. And during that time, my oldest brother and sister were in and out of jail and always doing stuff, and it was always something with them. And my mom met, who's now my stepdad, and they still don't go to church like they should or as much as they should. And I started seeing my dad every other weekend, like the court said. So I only went to church every other weekend, and I didn't really want to come to church because I didn't think it was that fun at that age. And all I wanted to do was sleep in church. And so finally I started coming every other weekend, and then I started coming every weekend because it finally got a little interesting. And my oldest brother and sister were still in and out of jail. And so I started coming every weekend when I was about 12, and I loved it. And we didn't have a youth pastor, and so I was on the nominating committee to get a youth pastor, and our first person was Eric, and I knew it was he should be our youth pastor because the interview was on Tuesday, and Friday night I saw him at Cedar Hill Farm, Saturday morning I saw him at a football game, and Sunday morning I saw him at church. It kind of clicked that he should be our youth pastor. And so they nominated him to be our youth pastor, and I started coming, and it would be me, and then it'd be me and 2 other people, and it'd be me and 1 other person. It wasn't really that much, but I still started coming. And when I was, before Eric got here, I was 14, and we were watching the Left Behind series about the rapture and when God was coming back, and he was going to take all the saved people to heaven and leave everybody else here, and it was going to be like hell on earth. And so that really scared me, and I didn't want to be here with everybody else. And so I asked Miss Donna if I could be saved, and she was like, yeah, sure. And she asked me if I prayed the prayer, and I said, yeah, whatever. I prayed it, and I really didn't. And so she was like, okay, well, you believe this, 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 and this? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she was like, okay, well, we'll pray, and then you can be saved. And I was like, okay. And so I was saved, and I was baptized the day after Christmas when I was 14. Me and Madison were baptized together. And then we hired Eric when I was 15. And everything started falling into place. I wanted to come because Eric was here and finally had someone to push me to come to church. We started going to camps and winter jams and concerts, and God was a priority in my life, but I still didn't think about if I wasn't really saved, then I'd be going to hell. And that just never clicked. And so this past summer, a couple weeks before camp, I was going through Instagram and Twitter, and I'd always see people going out on Friday nights and drinking and all that stuff, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to see why they did it and why they wanted to. And my sister called me, and she was like, hey, if you're free this weekend, you want to come over? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I went over there, and I drank for the first time, and I smoked weed for the first time, and I hated it. I did not know why people do it, but the whole time after that in that camp, I was wondering why I did it and what made me want to do it. And the night we changed our name to Rebellion, the pastor, whoever was speaking at camp, he asked us if there was anyone out there who just prayed the prayer but they didn't really mean it. And it was at the close of the service, and the music came on. He was like, if anyone wants to come down here and truly be saved, then you can come down here. And my mind was telling me no, but my heart was telling me to go down there, and my legs just started walking and I couldn't help it. And I just walked up there and I was saved that night. And then we got back to church and I was re-baptized, for real this time. And I still continue to live my life for God, but we're humans and of course we're going to make mistakes, and I just try not to, and I try to urge other people to live for God, and I hope that everyone sees God through me. And that weekend still haunts me, but I try to not let it bother me and try to let it go, but I still try to live for Him and do everything I can for Him.
All my life I have been called unworthy, named by the voice of my shame.